Welcome to a short preview of this Screencasts Online video tutorial. This week I thought we'd take a look at a very useful feature built into the macOS Finder, and that's the Get Info panel. And the Get Info panel is a way to access lots and lots of different information about your files and folders on your Mac. So I have some example files here. If I select the first one, you'll see the live preview across in the Finder, but I can either control or right click and I can say Get Info, or I can just hit Command I and that will pop up the Get Info window. Now I've compressed all of the sections. We'll go through each section one by one and I'll just explain in a bit more detail the information that's included in there and how you can use the information as well. Now starting at the top, we've got the file name with the file size and when it was last modified. We also have an icon as well. If I go into icon view here, you'll see that this is a PDF, so we get a PDF preview as an icon. You can change the default icon of any file or folder. Basically the way you would do that is just to click on the icon here in the header of the Get Info window. And then what you want to do, let's say I want to use this logo here. If I open this up, I'll just open it up in preview. We'll say Edit and Copy. I'll close that down, and over here, let me just highlight that file again, say Edit and Paste, and you'll see it's changed the logo of the file. That's just a quick preview of one of this week's Apple-related tutorials from Screencasts Online. Screencasts Online is your premium source of Apple-related video tutorials. All of our members get access to brand new, up-to-date tutorials each week, as well as unlimited access to our entire video archive full of Mac and iOS related tutorials. You can stream and download all of our videos on your Mac, iPad and iPhone, and even your Apple TV using the members-only Screencasts Online Apple TV app. Membership also includes a complimentary subscription to the Digital Screencasts Online monthly magazine, published each month and packed with videos, articles, reviews, as well as hints and tips covering all aspects of the Mac, iPad, iPhone, and all of the other fantastic Apple products. So, if you're ready to start getting the most out of your Apple devices, visit ScreenCastsOnline.com today and become a Screencasts Online member.